All right, real quick, just a little bit about me and why I might be qualified to sit up here in front of you. I started in new construction out of college at the peak of the then recession when interest rates were coming down to, are you ready for it? Drum roll, 15%. So my little 900 square foot house in Upper Arlington that was $50,000, my mortgage payment was about the same as it is today, and my house is worth a little more than that. And I went down that slippery slope. Anyway, started in new construction because I pounded the pavement. Nobody was hiring anybody with a marketing degree. That's the first department they laid off. So I went to work for Duffy Homes. I was the assistant to the vice president of marketing and was there for 9 months. Told my boss I wanted to get my real estate license. She goes, "Oh my gosh, you're 22 and you look 16. You won't be credible selling houses." And I didn't believe her and I quit that day. And I went to work for a custom home builder, and I worked for 2 custom home builders after that until my daughter was born. You get to do the math. She's 32. And I got a phone call from the then president of King Thompson Realtors and said he wanted to head up a new homes division. I was actually 28 and got the phone call to head up a new homes division. At one point, I represented my realtors and I represented 179 builders and developers in the state of Ohio. I was the first female National Association of Home Builders instructors in 1982 or 83. And I've taught all over the country, new construction. Not lately, not since the last recession. People kind of have gone in-house for most of their training, just like we have at Keller Williams. And welcome to any of you on the call who are not with KW. Welcome to this call. Sumit asked if he could post it on his social media, and I think we had a great response, so thank you very much. And then after that, my husband joined me in the business in 1992. I stepped out of the management role, and we still to this day continue to sell between 20 and 25 million a year on our team, and we represent on average a dozen to 15 people in new construction annually, every year. It's my passion, and I love new construction. So let's get started, panelists. Again, pause. I'm going to go in the same order we introduced you. So I'm going to go Mark, Kristen, Sean, and Sumit, and for no particular reason except to keep Angela from going crazy on muting and unmuting. So first question, if I were a realtor representing a buyer client, Mark, how do I register a buyer with you? And what if they call you or come into one of your homes you're building when I'm with other clients at an open house or on another appointment?
Okay, I think I'm unmuted here. Well, I do ask anyone that I speak to if they are working with a realtor or have been involved and are being advised by a realtor, which in many cases is answered with yes, and definitely I look forward to that because I think there's a lot of good input that the agents can have. And as Sue mentioned earlier, there are a lot of areas throughout the process where they can be an advocate both on both sides or just smooth things over. But we have a registration form. They come in and register with me, and because of the size of our company, it's really not too hard. And as most of you know, I know kind of how small the realtor community is. So if I were to ever try not to honor that, I wouldn't do very well. Plus, it'd be very cold when I went home at night, given that my wife is a realtor too. So for those that don't know, in case there's people that are on here that aren't in our system, but yes, I do sleep with a realtor. Sometimes it's my wife. No. Sorry, Tracy. I know she was going to be on here. Just kidding. Right. But I always tell people too that they should, the realtors, I always tell them, make sure too that your client understands your value. Because I'll be honest with you, the times that it's come up as an issue, it's not that I've brought it up as a cost savings. It's that once the client discovers that for some reason they didn't realize that there might be that somebody might be paying for something other than the lot in our case. Certainly on the production side, they own the lot, so you don't have that situation. But where somebody might be buying their own lot, they say, wait a minute, they were compensated, and I've built more houses probably than this person knows how. I've moved 7 times. I'm an executive. I know how to build a house. I don't need to pay somebody. So, you want to make sure that you set that relationship expectation level and the kinds of advice and value you're going to add for them in the transaction. And I always mention too that it's something that you want to, there's a lot of input in the design process as well, to where the realtor knows the most current trends and things and know what might hurt or help you down the road on resale too, to consider at the time. So we view it as great value to have the realtors involved.
Okay, great, Mark. I tell you what, the first three questions are very much together. They're similar. So let's keep going with Mark to answer question 2 and 3. And question 2 is, do you add the realtor commission to your price, or is it a fee that's built in your base price or a marketing budget? And can a buyer get a better price or a discount without a realtor? And then question 3 is, how do I get paid and when? What percent commission, and is the commission on the base price of the home or transfer price of the home? And I guess this probably wouldn't apply. I don't know that you ever had a bonus program, but how would a bonus to agent program work? Go ahead, Mark.
I didn't know if I was on. We pay, the realtor fee is based upon the contract price that we do. And it is built in depending on the situation, because we do contract builds only. I don't do very many spec builds. But on the contract build, it is built in as part of the budget as we go along throughout the process. It's full disclosure, just like any real estate transaction should be. I have had agents say, well, gee, can't you hide it so my customer doesn't get upset and try to kick me out of the transaction? Can't do that. That's not the way it works. You know, everything is supposed to be exposed. It's a little different, and maybe they think it could happen because in my case, the client or homeowner, they own the lot. Even if I develop lots, which sometimes I do, I still sell them a lot because they're also getting their own construction loan and handling the process throughout that. And then I work with them and their bank. So we don't actually have a formal closing. I literally just one day hand them the keys after we've gotten the certificate of occupancy and they're ready to move in. There is no formal closing on our behalf. We don't have that situation and don't offer bonuses. Did at one point in the very beginning look at some different incentive things that didn't necessarily have an impact. So we changed a couple of those things, but we don't, it's because we aren't doing models and specs and typically not doing that many standard plans. We don't really have a bonus program at this point.
Thank you, Mark. All right. And if you have any questions for any of the panelists as they're answering the questions, please put them in chat. Or if you were here with me in the office, socially distanced, please raise your hand. All right, Kristen, same 3 questions. I think you have them in front of you, so you can just read them and answer them, and we don't have to go back and forth. Does that work? Oh, hang on. We have a question from a panelist or from an audience.
What happens when your buyer is waltzing into the builder's domain, starts talking to him about a house, and then a week later discloses to him that he's involved in the real estate?
Okay, so the question from Don is, what happens, Mark, if somebody calls you or waltzes into your model home and doesn't tell you that they are working with a realtor, or maybe you ask and they don't tell the truth? That sometimes happens, right? And they're testing the waters to see if they can get a better deal. And then a week or 2 into the communication, they announce that they do have a realtor, or you get a phone call from the realtor. Is that your question? How do you handle that?
I would tell you, one, I haven't had to deal with that situation because typically what happens is I either get a call or prefer even a meeting, but with the agent letting me know people that they're working with and or that may have mentioned it. Now, that doesn't mean that this person didn't change their mind and decide to go looking on their own afterwards, aside from that. But at that point, I guess I'd have to look at it honestly on a case by case basis, because I'd have to see what there was that in that situation determined that there was a relationship there relative to the building and whatever. Because if you haven't discussed new builds with them and then you go in, I don't know what leg you do have to stand on if they decided on their own without any discussion with you to then go look at new builds and went through 10 different builders. I don't know. I'd have to look at it. Obviously, I'm going to lean in favor of trying to promote having the realtor involvement, but at that point, I'd get into, I guess, paper trails and things like that to take a look at that. But I would always come down on the side of wanting to include the realtor, or seeing worst case if I could do something differently that would involve the realtor, even though they wouldn't maybe be involved in the process like they normally are when they come to meetings and things, because there wasn't that rapport with the client. But
Does that answer your question?
it's kind of sticking with for me because it's not as set as some of the people that have models and things. So
And while
it's-
we have Mark on here, Vicky in the chat room said Mark didn't give the commission percentage.
Oh.
You said it was base price. Or contract price, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we pay on the contract price, and it is, I'm sorry, it is 3% that we pay for that.
Great. Go ahead and unmute Kristen.
Hi, guys. So we have 3 questions here that I want to answer. First question, do I ask if they're working with an agent? I can assure you 100% of the time. Generally, when you've done this for a while, like I have, you get a sense that they have information, they have been struggling. They mentioned that they've looked at 100 houses at this point and are super frustrated. So we kind of get those clues right away that they do have an agent. And I personally, and my sales partner, Amy, we ask 100% of the time if there's an agent working with them. To register your clients, I am very, very realtor friendly. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me. I've even had people, I reach out to them if their client happens to wander in and, says they have been working with an agent. I do want to caution you though, not all reps out there are kind of programmed to do that. Some of the newer ones are not, they just haven't been around as long and don't do that. So I caution you. I would always recommend that you have a relationship with a rep from every builder so that you can do that. Just call, text, whatever you need to do to get that name to us. And we get them in the system right away, even just as we can put them in as a lead, as someone who might be stopping in and somebody who might be interested. So on that note, we're very realtor friendly. We do build the commissions into the marketing budget and whatnot. We never ever discount for not having a realtor. I personally feel like the realtor is the customer's advocate, and obviously I work for the builder. I'm always going to do what's 100% best for the client, but I always recommend them that having that agent there to support them at every turn is a great idea. MI Homes, on a new build purchase, we do pay on the base price. On any pre-permit that we have going and any inventory homes, we pay on the full price. We'll talk about inventory later, but we have many, many, many inventories, and we always have multiple homes in a pre-permit status in every single neighborhood. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. And as far as the question, if someone calls me after a few days or a week and says, hey, I hear you talk to my client, can I be a part of this transaction? That is always, as Mark said, kind of a black and white area, but 9 times out of 10, as long as the customer is going to back that up, shoot me some kind of email, hey, I really want so-and-so to represent me. MI is very, very realtor friendly on that point, and we will honor that relationship. If a contract has been written, guys, there's really nothing that we can do. So we really, really need you to register your clients with us.
Great, thank you, Kristen. That's wonderful. Now, some of these questions, as I talked about before, aren't going to pertain to one or more of you. So if it doesn't pertain, just we can move on. Just let me know. So, Sean.
They asked about the commission for hers as well.
Oh, Kristen, they're asking about your commission as well. Commissions
3%.
and maybe bonus.
3%. Sometimes we have bonus programs, not very often, but we disclose those. Usually we'll get them out there through social media and things like that, but our realtor percentage is 3%.
Of the base.
Of the base, right?
Again, based on a
Hang on, Kristen. You have to unmute
There we go.
yourself,
Sorry,
please.
I am. 3% on a new build, and we pay full price on inventory and pre-permits. So base price on build, inventory and pre-permits are full price.
Great, thank you very much. Sean, same 3 questions. How do we register a buyer with you? And is it tricky? Like if I went online to Clayton Homes, would I find you? Do I just register in general? How does that work with Clayton?
Great question. Just like the other 2 panelists, it really is all about communication. A simple phone call to my office. Our administrative assistant, Kim Swisher, will be happy to register you. As a Berkshire Hathaway company, we have a pretty robust sales platform and a CRM. So everything is measured. The quicker you can get in touch with us and we can register you as well as your buyer, the better off everybody will be. But something that Mark said a little bit earlier, I thought was pretty powerful. And it's really about the agent creating or explaining the value that you're bringing to the equation. The thing that I have run into in years past is some realtor or agent who calls 6 months later and says, hey, where's my money? Right? That's not a way to lead and a way to build a relationship. Everybody in this room and on this call wants to figure out how to do more business. Why would any builder not want to compensate somebody who's helping create opportunities, right? Just like the other panelists, we pay 3% on the base price. Ours is a little trickier because a lot of times the agent will have to work to find the dirt. We're dealing with rural properties. It could be anywhere in the state of Ohio. So it's a little bit different, but very similar practice. And obviously we look forward to working with agents.
Great, thank you so much, Sean. Sumit with DR Horton, if you could answer the first 3 questions, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So the registration process is very simple with us. You can email me, you can text me. If you want to be old school, you can pick up the phone and call me. Yeah, one of the first questions that I ask when a customer walks in the model home is, are you working with a realtor? And obviously after a conversation, you can figure out if there are or not. And if they are, I usually get the realtor's information. And after the meeting, I usually reach out to the realtor, let them know that their customer had stopped by. As for realtor commission, it is 3% on the contract price, and it is built into the price of the home. The client or customer will not get a discount if they're not represented by a realtor. We do offer bonuses time to time. And just recently, actually, we had a red tag event last spring where we were offering $1,000 realtor bonus on specific homes. So anytime there's kind of a realtor bonus or anything, I usually send out a mass email, or I also post it on social media. Anybody that's following me will know and knows that I'm pretty active on social media. Yeah, I think that was it. That was all the questions.
Great, thank you, Sumit. Oh, we have a question here in house.
It's it's not necessarily directly for him, but at the end, can we get everybody's social media? Because I just tried to find a few and I couldn't without.
So that at the end of today's panel, after Q&A, we are going to share all of the builders' contact information and social media portals, your Instagram and Facebook or Twitter if you do that. And I am old school, Sumit, I will call you if I have a buyer for your home. I might text, but probably call. All right. Thank you, panelists. All right, Mark, would you ever consider building with a home sale contingency? Why or why not?
Well, that question, because of our structure, and then I'm building on contract where the client owns their lot, it doesn't really pertain to us, because they may have a home sale contingency, but that's between them and their bank as to whether they need to have that, because it's their loan, their lot. I'm literally serving truly in that role as more of a general contractor. So I don't have really the say in that. It's between whether or not they're capable of doing that with their bank.
Great, thank you. All right, so Kristen, do you ever build or will take a contract on a spec home with a home sale contingency?
Yes, absolutely we do. Fortunately, the last 2 years, I have not done one. I mean, you guys are selling them all way, way, way too quickly. So we haven't needed that home contingency clause, I'm happy to say. But yes, we do. Every situation is different. We do have some certain rules and guidelines, like making sure they are listed with a realtor is one of them. No FSBOs, no for sale by owners, nothing like that. They have to get the house on the market in a very timely manner so that, well, now that would be hours, but in the past it had been, you know, months or whatever. But yeah, so we're very realtor and customer friendly. And yes, if they need a home sale contingency, we will absolutely do that.
Great, thank you. Yes.
They might want to go into like what that actually means, because even though they can take a home sale contingency, I'm in this situation right now, my people have to move twice.
Okay.
Move into an apartment, and so kind of go through what that actually
Great.
entails.
So Lisa here in the office has a question or asked you to expound on that a little bit, Kristen. With a home sale contingency, what does that look like? She's in an experience right now where her clients have to make a double move. And a lot of times I know that's not fun. I will share with you real quick before you answer. We just closed on a Pulte that we had a multicultural and multi-generational family living in a home on the west side. I knew it was kind of rough, so I knew it would sell in maybe days, not hours, but I didn't, and it was contingent on the sale of a home. And Pulte allowed us to not make a double move. We were down to the wire 30 days, 40 days prior to completion of the home, and it took 6 days, but I will tell you, I was sweating bullets. I got it in contract in 6 days, and we were able to go to a closing and no delay on the completion of construction or past the completion of construction. So Kristen, if you want to answer, kind of expound on that, and then Sumi. Yeah, and then do they have to qualify to be, you know, I had to get a lender letter saying that ultimately if we didn't sell it by the time the new construction was completed and the occupancy permit had been delivered and they were ready to go to a closing, that we wouldn't hold up closing. So they had to qualify actually to make both payments.
Okay, so no, they do not have to qualify for both. We do the home, we even start the home. A lot of builders won't even dig the home until the house is sold. So that is not our situation. Our situation is that we take into consideration that they are going to sell that home. And so we will go ahead and start the house. Our contract states that they have to put the house on the market within the first week to 2 weeks. That in this market, we've gotten several exceptions for buyers that don't want to make a double move from management, because we are looking at homes selling in weeks, hours, months, things like, you know, days. What we would ask is the agent to provide some information for us as far as the stats for the community, the pricing, things like that. And then it would go to the VP of sales and he would make the determination as to, you know, if it would be okay for them to wait and put their house on the market.
Great, thank you so much. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, but every builder's different.
Every builder's different. That's right. That's right. Sean, I'm pretty sure this doesn't apply to you. Would you ever take a home sale contingency?
You're right, Sue. It doesn't traditionally apply to us. But I agree with what Mark said. Basically, the finance piece is going to drive that train. Most of the time we can stretch it out and work with the buyer so that it works out. You know, I think it's a perceived problem. It's not a real problem in the marketplace.
All right, Sumit, DR Horton, how do you handle contingency on home sale, spec versus build?
So we will take a home to sale contingency on a new build and a spec. So this is how it works. On a new build or a spec prior to drywall, your home does need to be listed within 21 days. In order for you to not have a double move, you need to qualify for your current home and the home that you're purchasing. On a spec home that is past drywall, which is usually about 30 to 45 days away from closing, the only contingency we will take is a house to close.
Okay, great. And I don't know if anybody else in the room has had this happen, but the day before closing one time, our client was shot in the back of the head by an estranged son-in-law, killed dead, and wife was a stay-at-home mom. And so we didn't go to a closing, and it was a new build. So that's happened once to me in 34 years. So, but it was pretty awful. All right, next. Do you do custom changes? And how are they handled? In other words, I know some builders say that you can have structural or foundation changes or custom changes within a certain period of time, and after which time they say absolutely not. So I know we're going to get a variety of answers on this one, so I'm excited. Mark.
Yes, being a custom builder, we do quite a few changes. They usually occur after Sunday night's episode of something on HGTV where Ty has moved the bus and the house looks totally different in 25 minutes. Or they went to a cocktail party over the weekend and their friends told them things that they really needed to do to their house that of course don't cost much and could be done in a matter of minutes. But honestly, we do changes in the custom process. That's exactly what it is. My job on a custom house is to build whatever my client wants to build that's legal and they're willing to pay for. So if they want a fountain in the great room, I'll put a fountain in the great room. I may not agree with it. And as a realtor and their realtor will probably advise them, it may not be a good idea for resale, but at the end of the day, till we're paying the mortgage, it's their choice. But we do changes throughout the process. I do not, in my case, do not charge change order fees. Typically charge them pretty much just what the change costs. We do a few things that are a little different and we can do it again because of our size. And we don't have the same systems that some of the others have, which would make it just nearly impossible. You know, during electric walkthrough, we walk through, I say, bring your checkbook. If you want to add a light switch by the headboard that turns on the floodlights to the backyard when the dog starts barking, so you don't have to run down to the kitchen door and turn the switch on to see if somebody's in your yard or whatever, or come up with a ceiling fan you want somewhere or something else. You write them a check directly, take care of it, and we're done. And then likewise with some of our suppliers, same thing. They may decide to upgrade a light fixture and they go ahead and go into our vendor and may just pay the difference for that. It just keeps us, because again, we don't have the same level of systems, and I've got a great office manager accountant, and but I just try to keep, you know, less administrative action as possible with a lot of the tracking of those sort of things. So I let them handle that directly. That's not typically the case. And you can't really do that when you have a larger operation. It's just not practical. You're like asking Ford to stop their assembly line and make a change for you in particular that you want on some little thing. But that's typically how we do it. And it seems to work because a lot of times our people haven't even made decisions. We dig prior to a lot of final decisions made. So we have allowances that are in there that we tend to build to reflect what we think from our conversations and getting to know them allows for their selections and their taste. Because again, sometimes these people just don't have the same focus as they do to go into some of the other showrooms and make those choices early on and be finalized. So.
Great, thank you, Mark. That is the nice thing about building a custom home is, you know, is there room to put a closet over here? You see things when it's framed, and Mark is so hands-on that he's there, like he said, every day. People will stop in and say, and Mark might say, hey, you've got a little space over here. Do you want me to put shelves in here? And he might make recommendations based on his 20+ years of being in the industry. Kristen, how do you do custom changes, and how are these handled, and do you have change order charges? And I guess in the same question, I was looking, so I'm not redundant. Are there certain dates by when they have to make decisions, you know, structural changes or additions or custom? I guess kind of address that whole issue. Thank you.
Okay, so first let me start by saying that yes, we do, but we actually have different series of homes. So I'm going to kind of start with that and start with the series and kind of give the rules and what we do. So the first series of homes we sell is called the Smart Series. The Smart Series is built in places like Darby Fields, North Lake Preserve. It was in Minerva Park. It's what we call starter homes, but they're in the 3s now. We all know how much prices are increasing. But on those homes, we do not make changes. They still get to work with the pre-wire company and kind of place cable outlets, things like that, do a little tiny bit of customizations, but it pretty much is what it is. We won't do any custom changes on that Smart Series. Then we move up to what's called our Signature Series, and those are built in communities like the Pines, Clarkshaw Moors, Jerome Village here. And that series, we will allow a limit number of changes. Generally, in that series, we're limited to like 5 changes, and they can't be anything load bearing or anything like that. So, you know, things eliminating closets, doing things like that, very simple. We've done prayer rooms. We've done all kinds of custom things in that series. Yes, time limits are very, very important because we are a production builder. We're unfortunately not like Mark every day and get to be on site and out of closet, but we have lots of paperwork trails that have to be done. And so the procedure is for us to meet with the client within the first week, talk to them in detail about what their expectation is and what they want to do as far as changing any structural items from contract. Those would include the standard items, and they would also include things that they might want to add or change. What we do is we ask that information, we submit it to our office to get a price. There is no charge for this. The office will price it, they'll send it back, we present that to your buyers. And if the buyer is comfortable with the price, they like the option, we will go ahead and add it. Yeah, and there again, it's got to take place within the first couple weeks of contract. Now, if they come back 3 months into the build, no, we don't make any changes at this point. COVID has changed us a little bit too. Windows are taking longer. Everything's taking longer. Everything down to your doorknobs and your, door hinges are taking longer. So, changes we don't do anymore. Once they sign off with us, the sales rep structurally, then they go to the design center, they pick all their colors, they're going to sign off with the design center. We are pretty much done. Some things, there have been some exceptions with colors at the design center. That's not quite as hard to change, but that's kind of the story there. The last series of homes we have is our Regency series. Lots of you remember Showcase, so Regency is kind of on that Showcase line. Regency will make up to 10 changes, same procedure about turning it in for pricing and if they accept it. So we'll do a few more things there. The one thing I want to point out is I can't do anything about the elevations of the home. Those are not changeable. They are what they are, so what the exteriors look like, but the changes on the inside of the home, on the Regency series, I'm allowed up to 10.
Great, thank you so much, Kristen. Sean, since your process is a little different because you are ordering, working with the client to order the home, I guess go through what any structural changes, I guess maybe not structural changes, except for foundation, basement. So I guess this question is a little different. Do you do custom changes? And how are they handled? And are there charges if they are after the home has been ordered?
Yep. So we do not do any kind of structural changes, similar to what others have mentioned, but everything on the inside can be changed. By that, I mean cosmetically, add ceiling fans, add light cans, change this cabinet bank, switch this island, that sort of stuff can all be modified. There are minor charges, and then that can all apply up until the point that we send it to production, which is typically a 30 or 60-day window. After that point, obviously, we have customers all the time that will say, hey, I really wanted a ceiling fan in here and I didn't think about it. Well, that's not a hard thing to do. Every builder is going to want to take care of the customer, and we just have a pass-through cost on that, whatever the electrician charges. But the majority of our stuff, as I said in the beginning, we're not a custom home builder. So any kind of wall movements, anything structural related, we would not be able to accommodate. We are truly a production builder in the sense that we build 40,000 homes a year. That's not here in Ohio, that's nationwide. But from our little, what I call cost center production outfit in Marion, at that helping 100 families, we do have some flexibility.
Great, thank you, Sean. All right, Samit, same question. Do you allow custom changes, and how are they handled? Is there a time frame, and are there charges?
Yeah, so after contract, no structure changes at all, period. You do have up to 7 days for cosmetic changes. They want to change the color of the cabinets. They want to upgrade the padding in the carpet or anything like that. Change the door levers. That is up to 7 days. And no, there are no change orders, but all change orders within that 7 days do need to be approved and signed by management.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, so Mark is going to add on to something he wanted to answer before, and he's going to go into, well, I guess payment schedule. You can explain again the construction loan. And yeah, go ahead, Mark.
What I wanted to be clear on before, and actually sort of ties into that anyway, but the change orders that we do a change order and process one when they want to change, other than maybe, like say, the light fixture or electrician situation. But if they're moving walls and doing things where we're actually going to have to get something priced out from the contractors doing the work, there is a change order. We're just not charging a fee, and that is paid before the work is done by the homeowner, because a lot of builders have gotten in trouble over the years assuming that somehow at a closing they would get reimbursed for all their change orders, and the bank says, we agreed to a loan for $300,000, not $325,000. So there is not any money if you haven't gotten it already from the homeowner to do this, because once a bank makes their loan, they do not increase them. It's very, very difficult, if not almost impossible, unless you've got a really, really strong relationship with your bank, or might even be on their board to do that. So they need to realize that when they make these changes, they are going to be paying those out of pocket as additional equity, most typically. So I didn't want anybody to think that we don't charge for that sort of thing, or don't actually, make them pay for it at the time. We do. Regarding deposit, we do typically at the time we go to contract, we do require a 10% deposit, and that is typically paid at the time we sign the contract. However, sometimes, again, because we're able to do that, and depending on what their situation is at the time with various things, we may allow them to pay a portion of that, and then the balance gets paid at their loan closing. When they actually close with their bank, then it's not really the first draw, but it's like draw zero that happens at closing, just to pay that balance off before we go to start construction and do the next phase.
Do you want to give them an idea of, like, is the general rule of thumb still, you have to have 25% of the lot and the cost of the construction down at the loan?
The question was about percentages and ratios, but anymore, the way the banking industry is changing, and honestly, I've seen so many different things. I mean, look at these doctor loans that are 100%, you know, and most of the people I know are doctors are scared to death where their next paycheck's coming from. So I don't know how the banking system, every situation can be different. So I don't particularly feel comfortable stating parameters because the banking industry changes so much anymore on what they will or won't do, and whether or not they're a national bank or whether or not they're a local bank with portfolio lending. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark. All right, so where are we? Kristen, deposit policies, are you ever flexible? Let's say that, you know, 90% of their down payment is going to be coming out of the sale of their home, and you've already started theirs and they haven't closed on theirs. You know, talk to us about deposits.
Okay, so on deposits, yes, to answer that, we are flexible, but on deposits, again, it's going to come down to the series of the home. Our Smart Series that we first talked about a little bit ago, it's a $10,000 down payment. We do payment schedules, and we work with that individual customer to figure out what works for them. Can we do at least 5 down at contract and then schedule one more payment? Can we schedule a couple more payments? What is that exact situation? So we work with each and every customer. On our Signature and Regency series, the down payment is 5%, and that's 5% of the price out that I do when we sit down in my model. Mainly, we're going to talk about the lot, the base price, and the structural things, like third car garages, full basements, morning rooms, things like that. A lot of times, if they want to price in some design elements just to get an idea of what, you know, where the house is going to land, which most of them do, like your hardwoods and your granite and things like that, we take 5% of the contract price. Again, we are very flexible on down payment. I find that most people in the Regency just make the payment and they're done with it. Sometimes the Signature buyers do ask to spread it out to 2 or 3 payments. So again, we're very customer friendly, and we'll work with them to make sure that they get that money in. We generally do, I will point out, we generally do like to have that before we dig. So we do try to get the full deposit within the first, say, 60 to 90 days. If that's not possible, there are situations where we will continue to take payments.
Okay, great. Can you, since this does apply to you, can you answer the next 2 questions that kind of tie in with that? Can you cross-sell in neighborhoods? And does that vary from inventory home to new build? And also, how would you handle a VA buyer who has $0 down? I know in the resale market right now, the VA buyers are losing out on homes, right? We had a multiple offer situation with 28 offers. 5 were VA. It was 217 in Hilliard schools. 5 were VA with no money down, and they lost. And that was not our advice. It was the seller. So how do you handle that?
Okay, so first of all, I 100% cross-sell all neighborhoods, all inventory. Love my realtors, love my relationships. And one good thing about myself is I have a sales partner, Amy Hodgson, who's also been in the business over 20 years. And because we are a true team, we are able to meet you different neighborhoods at any time and, you know, kind of work those appointments out. As far as the VA buyers love us. And a lot of those frustrated buyers love us because, you know what, we don't do the multiple offers. We don't do the multiple bids. You come in, you give me a deposit and the house is yours. We do take a deposit from VA buyers just like we would anybody else. Sometimes I can get approved a lower deposit since they will get it back at closing. So sometimes, a lot of times we won't take that full 5% and we won't take that full 10,000. Just, you know, again, case by case, got to get management approval. But yeah, we've seen lots and lots of VA buyers because with us, they write a contract and they are in contract.
Okay, can I ask her?
Yes.
Where there's a community that they're getting ready to build.
Yep.
in Reynoldsburg. Can I ask her, when is that start date?
Kristen, we have a question from Lisa, and she said, MI is getting ready to start a new community in Reynoldsburg. Can you ask what can we ask what the name of it is, and when are you beginning to sell in there?
Okay, so we have several new communities. The one in Reynoldsburg is scheduled, I believe, spring of next year. I am not sure of the name of it, but I probably will know within the next 30 to 60 days. We have sales meetings every week, and they announce new communities. So we're very, very excited about that community. It will be our Smart Series, and it will be very well priced. So we're excited about that one.
Okay, Kristen, while we have you still on, sorry, Sumit and Sean, we'll get to you. Price point in that neighborhood specifically, but also why don't you give us a price range for Smart Regency and Signature? Did I get it correct? And Steve in our community is asking about what does cross-sell mean? And the next question is, the community in Reynoldsburg, is that off Wagner between Broad and Main? Go, Kristen.
Okay, so let me try to remember all this. Cross-selling means that I can sell in any community that MI builds into. That would be Reynoldsburg, that would be anywhere at all that we build. So that's what cross-selling means. I do sit in a model in Jerome Village, so that is my home base here in Dublin. But I can sell in any community. Price point, I just don't have a lot of information yet on that new Reynoldsburg piece. The best thing that I can tell you to do as realtors, on our website, we have what's called VIP lists that you can sign up for new communities. And when you do, as they come out, they give you floor plans, price lists, locations, and they do kind of a drip campaign where they release more and more information out. The VIP list is not out yet for that community. I imagine it probably will come out somewhere around December, January. And anybody that wants information about new communities, obviously give my information to, and I would be happy to shoot anybody any information as it becomes available.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And let's see. So Sean, I guess these three questions don't really apply to you, or do you agree, or do you have any comments on deposit policies? Cross-selling is not applicable, and VA buyers? Why don't you go ahead and, oops, hang on. Gotta love Zoom.
So deposit wise, we, like the others, require 10% of the purchase price to order the house. And when I say order, right, we're building in a controlled environment. So we need that money to secure the position at the factory and to make things go. Not sure, what were the other pieces of the question? I don't think the other pieces applied.
Yeah, cross-selling is not applicable because you do,
We build
specific,
everywhere.
you don't do speculative.
Correct.
But how do you handle VA buyers who have zero down?
So it's kind of a tricky question because I think every builder will agree. If they don't have skin in the game, it makes it a dicey proposition. I always get back to the lender. And if the lender's comfortable with everything and the whole financial position of the customer, we'll roll the dice and we'll go ahead and dig. It's just one of those, you kind of cross your fingers and hope that it's not every day. It's not as prevalent, I'll say, in our world as I think in the rest of the construction industry.
I can't imagine that being a good thing, that you're stuck holding the bag of a production spec home that's most probably on a rural property. So, all right,
Yeah.
Sumit, same questions. Deposit policies, is there a payment schedule? Can the sales reps cross-sell at DR Horton when you're building in numerous neighborhoods, spec and build? I know everybody's a little bit different in Central Ohio. And how do you handle VA buyers who have no money down?
So our earnest money deposit policy is only 1.9% of the price of the home. That can be, on a new build, it can be 3 payments up to 60 days max. On a spec home, 2 payments within 30 days. So we're flexible in that. As for cross-selling, yes, I can 100% sell in 15 of our communities. I have a very similar setup as Kristen. I'm on a team with a gentleman named Mike Anderson, over 17 years of experience with Pulte and Dominion. And we're open 7 days a week. I am at our Springer Woods community. That's my base in Delaware, but Mike or I can always meet your clients and you at any of our communities. And then the third question was VA. Yeah, VA loan. Yeah, they're going to have to put down the 1.9%, which is given back to them at closing. On top of that, we do have a hometown hero discount for our VAs, $1,000 discount that applies to them for their services. I think you had there were 2 more questions, wasn't there?
No, that was it for now, but I do have a question from the audience. Do you have a project, does DR Horton have a project starting soon in Plain City? And then I guess when everybody's turn is next, but you can take now, Sumit, how do you deal with HECM loans? Are you familiar with HECM loans for over 64-year-olds where they put, but I think that's more of a lender question, but have you done a HECM loan on your product?
I have had a few deals recently with HECM loans, and I've just turned them on to DHI, our in-house lender. And as for Plain City, all I can say is something's in the works. Stay tuned.
Okay, great. You guys, when I share the information, I want you all to reach out to these wonderful panelists so you're very in tune with what's going on, because sometimes the sales reps aren't told until the very last minute because they don't want it leaked out. And what is it? Telephone, tell a friend, tell a realtor, and everybody knows, right? All right, let's see, where am I? Myself back to Mark. We already know the buyer carries the lot and construction loan 100% of the time. So let's go to question 10. How long does it take to build from, maybe I said contract to closing on my question, but maybe from the time they meet you, because in your case, it could vary quite a bit. So go ahead.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, there are really a couple phases, that design and pre-design phase. And depending on whether they've actually located their lot, because many times I've met with people and they have not identified their lot. So I spend a lot of time working with agents and their clients to evaluate lots that they're considering, help them do the due diligence that needs to be done if it's a rural type of lot, and figuring out various zoning and codes and what kind of utilities there are, determining hydrology and really distances for things. A lot of people buy what's a really cool flag lot, but then they realize they've got a 2,300 foot long driveway that costs a little bit to put in, and you got to bring your utilities back there. So all of a sudden your site prep fees become huge for that nice flag lot back in the woods. So we try to nail that down as early as possible. And so that's a big part of the process. So that varies, but I guess once they actually own their lot and we decide to move forward, depending on the timeline, because we have some standard plans we do, which can be modified. We also can work where they find plans online. It may be one plan they want to do just some slight changes to, Don Gardner or one of these others. Or it might be a composite of 3 or 4 plans that, we like this great room area. We love the way that master, flows to the laundry area or the back hall. So it depends on how much of that's involved. Then you get involved more with the architect, doing more than just making subtle modifications. And that depends on their schedule. Some of them, they're so busy right now. Many of them are backed up to where it can be a 2 to 3 month process. And it depends on how available the homeowners are to meetings and things too. And we, kind of jumping ahead a little bit on a question, welcome and appreciate the input and attendance in a lot of these meetings of the realtor involved with that, because like I say, as you're making the design of a house, in the other cases, the house has been designed and you're making some changes. But on ours, we're pretty much, unless they're taking a standard plan that we happen to have, we're designing it all the way for them. And there just might be some decisions they're making for their needs that the realtor or myself might have some input that would be better down the road. Example is a 4,800 square foot house I built that that has no fireplace, and he decided somebody could do that later. He wasn't going to do it. There is no operable, it's on the market now. There are no operable windows in the house except where there's egress required up in the bedrooms. It's a very cool house, but I just told him at the time it'd be difficult to sell. And he said, that's fine. I'll take the hit at that time, but I'm going to build what I want for myself. And that's fine. But the job of myself and the realtor is to at least make sure that they make an educated decision at the time that they do that. And a lot of people don't know or think what that might be. And the realtor is the most current on what's going on. Many of you know it used to be a premium to panelize appliances. Now everybody goes in and gags at a panel on a dishwasher and refrigerator, although the manufacturers are starting to put panel covers back on them again to do that again. So it all comes around as it had before. And for our build, it's typically from dig date to the time that we're completed to move in. If it's not that big, it's under 3,000 square feet, then it's probably 10 to 12 month period. And a lot of that just depends on if we're putting septic in and things. Last year we got held up because of the rain. It was 6 months before an inspector could do a septic inspection in 2019. So it just varies. Some things can hold it up, as well as the decision process on a custom and how many things are truly being custom made, as opposed to putting things in a custom location that aren't being handmade by a cabinet maker somewhere in Plain City or someplace. So lead times vary based on that. Houses that are larger than 3,000 or so can take anywhere up to 18 to 24 months, depending on how big they are and how complicated the selections finishes are and how custom they are, and whether they're having to be imported from Italy or somewhere, or whether they can be sourced locally. And then I just typically like to have the houses set and cure a little bit during the process. Sometimes I can cut a couple of months off that short end, but I do not like to deliver a house under eight months to 9 months. 9 months is actually the minimum that I prefer to deliver a house.
Okay, great. Kristen, for everybody, I'm going to put this in the chat. A couple people have to leave early. And so I'm going to give you Angela Chamblin, our Director of Agent Services. Email is Marysville, like the city of Marysville, @kw.com. If you send Angela an email, she will send you all of our panelists' contact information. That's probably the easiest way to handle it. We'll announce it here at the end, but if you want to email Angela at marysville@kw.com. Oh, perfect. Thanks. She just put it in the chat. Okay, Kristen. Does the buyer ever carry with MI? Do they ever carry the construction loan? Or do they just do an end loan? Is it an option? And how long does it take to build from contract to close?
Okay, so it's always an end loan. So, production builder. So of course, always an end loan. So it is not a choice on that. As far as building, it's going to vary from community to community. The biggest piece of the puzzle is the municipality and how quickly we can get a permit back. So it's also going to depend there again on the series of home. Our smart homes go up in about 7 months, 7 to 8. Signature is generally about 8 to maybe 9. And then our Regency homes generally are going to run in that 9 to 10 months. Sometimes they go slightly over depending on the community. So again, as far as dig to done, that would be a shorter answer. But because we have to deal with ARB in Dublin and permits in all communities, that sometimes changes the build time. Fortunately, COVID hasn't done too much to prolong build times, because especially with the build, because we are ordering things like windows much earlier and things like that. So we've been able to adjust times to kind of fit the pandemic and, not wait so long to maybe order some of the elements in the house. Another reason for no changes, but we are continuing to keep that probably 7 to 10 month build time.
Okay, great. Sean, this is going to be an interesting answer here. On a Clayton home, what can we expect? Well, first of all, of course, the client carries explain financing. Let's say I'm building $175,000 production home with Clayton, and I want it on a basement foundation, and it's in Delaware County or Union
Okay.
County, pick a county. Tell
Okay.
us what that looks like, and then how long does it take to get that sucker on the foundation and a CO?
So the reason I put the screen behind me is a house we just completed east of Newark. That was delivered to site 42 days ago. So we built a garage, built the front porch, poured the driveway, finished the backyard and the landscaping in that amount of time. That picture was taken yesterday. Obviously, I'm pretty proud of that, but that's not the norm, right? That's because we threw every resource we had at that, and that was a spec project for us. Traditionally, I mean, it's the $1 million question. So it's what every single person that walks in our door, which is about 125 people a month, say. I came to you because I heard it wasn't going to take very long. And the answer is it depends, right? And what Mark and what Kristen have indicated, it depends on the type of house. It depends on where it's going. It depends on if we're talking about improved dirt or non-improved. My magic number internally on a deal start to finish from scratch is probably 6 to 8 months. But like the home sitting behind me, I mean, we can knock it out of the park quick. My record, and it wasn't mine because it was my team's, when I first started in Marion, was 3 weeks, start to finish. That was full foundation house. Here's your keys. Congratulations. So that is one of the value adds I think, offsite housing brings, is that in that production environment, when we can create that many houses and get them to the site, a lot of it is just connecting A and B, and then final interior touches, drywall, cabinetry, and that kind of stuff. So not sure if I answered your question. Was that clear? Or did I ramble too much?
No, it was perfect. And it looks like that house behind you is in a subdivision. So you probably had water and sewer and all
We did.
utilities right there. So that was easier. I imagine
Yep.
if you're out
Plug
in
and
the
play.
country and grandma carves off 5 acres for grandson and his new bride who's pregnant. I just expounded on that. And
Yeah,
Unmute,
obviously
Sean.
in a subdivision, the plug and play component of it makes life a lot easier. I think every builder here will acknowledge that. Yeah, I'd like to do some more subdivision deals.
I bet a little bit easier than dealing with municipalities and mound systems and driveways and all that fun stuff. All right, Sumit, same question. Does the buyer ever carry the construction loan? Is this an option? Do you do offsite builds at DR Horton? And how long does it take to build from contract to closing?
The customer does not carry the loan. It is a end loan. And no, we do not do offsite construction. And again, we've got 3 different series. So the time and again, municipality, everything plays a role. Like our Express series, which has no basement, it's a slab, solid foundation product. That can take 5 months. And our DRE series could take about 6 months. Our DR Horton could take 7 months. So I would probably say between 5 to 7 months.
Okay, great. All right, back to Mark. What are the various meetings you would want to or expect, want to work together with the realtor or expect the realtor to attend during the new build process? If your preference is none, are you okay with the realtor attending the various meetings, such as material selections, pre-build, wiring, trim, finish and trim, final walkthrough, punch list, prior to closing?
Yes, actually, as I mentioned earlier, I welcome and hope for a lot of input from the realtor in the process. Again, particularly in the design phase, they're welcome to any of the pretty much the non-funding type meetings. Those are usually kind of private because, again, they're involving their own funding and loan situations. Sometimes we discuss things relative to their personal financial situation that may or may not be appropriate for everybody to be involved in. But as far as anything to go with the building of the house, absolutely welcome the realtor and invite them to every meeting that we have, just meeting with the architect. To always send them copies of the drafts that we have from the architect, for if nothing else, they're review and comment on their own to see if there's anything glaring to them that's either missing or that's there that maybe shouldn't be. And then of course, if they want to, I haven't really had too many realtors do it. come to the site to do an electric walkthrough or something like that, that'd be fine. Again, counseling their client as to what the current trends are, because I don't know what every trend is. I'm not actively out there showing as many houses and listening to what the buyers are saying when they go into these houses and, you know, are going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, or gosh, it really should have this. So the eyes and ears of the realtors are very valuable to both the homeowner and to myself in that process. And then when I have represented somebody in a new build, because of my background, yes, I do go and I check things, windows for square and plumb and doorways and some things for room for trim and, you know, things that I would as a builder, and advise them again. But my input also carries no weight. It has to be shared with the homeowner, and then they can try to discuss it with their builder to see if some of that can be addressed, depending on the severity of what something might be. But generally, I welcome them at any and all times in the process.
Great, thank you. And I have found that to be the case with Mark and other custom home builders. And I think that the builder or in Mark's case, in many custom home builders cases, you typically deal with one person, and oftentimes it is the builder. And I think that you work together in partnership to help, you know, make recommendations. You know, like Mark said, the fountain in the great room. I actually sold a house in 1989. That was a custom home in a parade of homes, and it actually had a waterfall on the dining room wall. The dining room wall happened to be pink, if you remember, Mark, and everything was pink in this house. It was a pre-sold parade of homes house, and there was a waterfall where water literally came from the ceiling, went down into a trough, and then recycled. It was awful. I recommended, that wasn't really probably popular for resale. They didn't listen to me. So, all right, Kristen, same question. What are the various meetings that you would want or expect realtors to attend during the build process? Or are you one of the production builders that say, come in, sign the contract with them, and leave me alone, I'll see you at the closing, or somewhere in between?
I think I would fall into the somewhere in between category. I am happy to do either. I have several realtors that call me or email me, give me a client's name, and then I don't hear very much from them. Most of my realtors, though, are very involved, and I really actively think that that's a great thing, both for you and the client. We would invite you to several of the meetings. The only one that we are restricting a little bit right now, and it is because of COVID, is our design center meetings. We are only allowing buyers. The reason for that is social distancing. So we have 4 designers that generally are booked way past. We have, so many appointments, and you get a designer and more than 2 buyers at a time, and suddenly we're over our limit, and we're really not allowed to do that. We are happy to FaceTime you in, Zoom you in, if the client wants that. The designers do that all the time, or if you come and one goes out and some comes in, we just have to limit the number of people in the design center. As far as any of the initial meetings, price out meetings, absolutely. I think it's great when realtors can attend and put their input in and advise, yes, this is good. No, you might not need that. Maybe we could put the money on something else. Buyers listen to you guys, and I think that's great. Lot selection, I think, is a great thing for realtors to attend. You may have some input on certain lots or certain things that may sell a little better for resale at a later time. So I think that's a great meeting to go to. Things like the Builder Buyer Conference, which with us is right before we dig. We do a full meeting with the superintendent, myself, and the customers, we show them the prints, we show them the plans, we go over in detail what their home is going to look like, and we try to catch any mistakes that maybe there is a mistake on it, and so let's nip it now and find it before we dig then into the process. So I don't really see very many realtors that come to those. Some do. You're invited to if you want to. Don't really see a lot in the pre-drywall walks. That's generally, just making sure cables and outlets and things like that are in the right positions. We do have realtors that come out on site all the time, and maybe the client's not even with them, and they walk their client's house, take pictures, come in, ask me questions. I think that's wonderful. We would welcome that. I personally welcome that at any point in time. So things like that, of course, financing generally, we don't, that's kind of the buyer's thing. We don't generally see realtors at that. So again, always welcome. We just have to limit the design center right now.
Okay, great. I like to be a very involved realtor and everybody on my team, and we do attend those the design center meetings. I get it. We've done a couple recently on my team, and they were not thrilled that we were there. And it was just one person from the Parrish team, and so Christy Parrish again went in and she did big picture. I recommend you go second package in the contract. Because nobody likes the standard base package of carpet or flooring or whatever. I believe you should put it in the contract up front and then go to the design center, look around, then make your meeting and then show me or Zoom me or FaceTime me. What I think they FaceTimed and it turned out fine. But if we're going back to the 80s, like Mark Chambers said, with dishwasher panels on the front of dishwashers again, we might see pink toilets and black toilets again. And God, they were ugly. And you walk into a house with pickled woodwork or cabinets or black toilets or pink, dusty rose colored plumbing. Oh, yuck. I mean, I want to be that realtor that says, stop and think about resale. Oh, we're going to live here forever. Oh, that's great. So when you call the Parrish team in 30 years, pink toilets are probably not going to be in style. All right, Sean, I don't know that this pertains to you, but if I were a realtor bringing a client for a Clayton home, I'm guessing that maybe just the initial meeting where we're pricing out and making decisions, but tell me what that looks like.
Sure. We call it the discovery phase in the relationship with the consumer. And obviously we need the realtor's input as far as their expectations. And it's probably a new effort for both of them. So that's extremely important. I think kind of the interesting value add that we as an industry or a niche can bring to this entire equation is the ability to kind of reverse engineer a deal. And people usually look at me and go, what is he talking about? Well, what I'm saying is you could have a customer that says, I want to spend $150,000. Well, it depends. Can we build that? Yes, but not if they have a $100,000 lot, right? So we can systematically sit down and do a little reverse math to figure out option A, B, and C. And that's the value that the agent brings to the equation with us, because my people are consumed with our process. We're not experts. We're not agents going out to source dirt. We forge relationships with agents, but that's the value that they bring. So there's a lot of interaction in the beginning until the dirt's purchased. And then obviously picking out colors, that sort of stuff, their input is invaluable. But after that, not until we do final walkthroughs. And that's pretty much it. Pretty cut and dry.
Awesome. All right, Samit, how about you? What are the various meetings that you want or expect them to be there? Or do you prefer they drop off their client and come back at the closing or somewhere in between?
No, don't come back at the closing. I would suggest that you be there in most of the meetings, especially the contract. When we're doing the contract, I would highly recommend that you're there. Then we have another meeting, which is a pre-construction meeting, which is right before the dig when we're going over the blueprints and everything about the home. I would suggest that they be present there as well. At the design studio, again, we're having the same situation as MIA and Kristen is having, where it's very limited people because of COVID. And then the final meeting, which is the orientation meeting, where there's a punch out list done. That would be a meeting that I would highly recommend that a realtor be at as well.
Okay, great. We've got about 20 minutes left. So I guess let's lump a couple of these together. And I think this would only pertain to MI and DR Horton. Are there lot costs or upcharges or premiums in addition to the base price of the house? And does that vary, of course, from neighborhood to neighborhood? Mark, are you good with me going to Kristen?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Kristen, go ahead.
So yeah, the answer to that is yes. So we always have at least a few lots that are at what we call a zero premium. So generally those lots are going to back to another house. You know, they're nice lots, but there's nothing particularly special about those particular lots. So we always want to offer a zero premium where they don't have to pay anything extra. But we do have lot premiums. We have bigger lots, pond lots, wood lots, treed lots, several reasons for those lot premiums, of course. And they're all disclosed to the buyer, obviously, on the first visit. Usually buyers, when they want to talk about lots, we bring out the premium maps and we go into that piece of the puzzle, you know, to show them that, yes, this is the base price. Here are your base lots. And then if there's something they want, I don't want to back to another house is one we hear very, very often. So we would kind of pull out that and advise them on what might be the best lot for them. And yes, it does vary from community to community as well as to how high the lot premiums are.
Okay, great. Sean, you did mention that you had a spec home. So does that ever apply to you, or do you just kind of source lots occasionally and do spec homes?
It's more of the exception rather than the rule. So yeah, but hopefully we change that in the future.
Well, we might have to. There's no inventory. And if you're telling me that that house that you built in 42 days was $150,000 or $175,000, I'm sure these agents on this call, on this Zoom and in this classroom have buyers for you. All right, Sumit, how about you? Lot premiums.
Most of our home, again, it's specifically community-based. Most of them do not have lot premiums. Some of them do, and there are lots that are in a cul-de-sac, where there's a tree line, tree preserve, green space, something like that behind, or a larger lot. Those are the ones that will have premiums, but again, most of them will not have a premium.
Great to know. Okay, so if buyers close in the middle of winter, how do you handle landscaping, grass, seed, or sod, and driveway, the exterior in lovely central Ohio where we have such unpredictable weather? I'll be nice. All right, so Mark?
Well, in most cases for us, again, because we're building on their lot, it ends up coming down to really two things: what the building department may require and what the bank might require relative to any kind of escrows or whatever. I mean, I've seen situations in communities where literally there's snow on the ground, shoveled away 3 or 4 feet of snow off the grass to prove there was sod. And the inspector said, no, I need to see the whole thing clear, or I can't approve that. So you're going to need to escrow, because you might have just put, you know, because builders are slimy, we might have just put, you know, 10 square feet of sod down somewhere and shoveled it away, and the rest is still topsoil. So it really depends on what they require as far as that goes, because again, you know, it ties into our draw anyway. But if the community will allow them to get a CO with those conditions still unmet, then it's typically going to involve some kind of an escrow of the balance of the draw.
Okay, great. Kristen, how about you? How do you handle if we're closing in the winter and they don't have landscaping, grass, seed, sod, or driveway? Or does that happen?
Oh, it happens. And yes, we escrow. Sod has been particularly difficult for the past couple of years with, you know, weather conditions and whatnot. But yes, we absolutely escrow. We try to get things done as quickly as possible afterwards. Sometimes it's a little more difficult with things like the sod. But, you know, buyers know this. They're told this. Actually, in contract presentation, I do review that, especially if I know that their time frame is going to kind of fall in those winter months. You know, some don't know to ask, so we do kind of try to give them the information that yes, you absolutely will have some escrows. You may not have a driveway, you may not have your grass down, and that we will come back as soon as we can and go ahead and do those things.
Great. Sean, does that apply to you as well? Like what Mark said, based on municipality, do you have to escrow? Is that ever an issue?
Exactly what they both just said. And a lot of times we are building through the winter, right? So it comes back to March or April, and hopefully we don't have a rainy spring. And then we just get back there as fast as the weather will permit. And most municipalities understand that, at least in our areas that we build, and are happy to accommodate. Occasionally we'll have to escrow.
Awesome. And when you're in a rural area, you probably don't run into that as much, I'm guessing.
Correct.
All right, Sumit, talk about what DR Horton does when it's winter and we've closed and we don't have any or all of the following: landscaping, grass, seed, sod, or driveway.
It's definitely escrowed. And yes, sod has been a little pain recently. You've got one farm that feeds all the builders in Central Ohio. So, but yes, it's definitely escrowed. And the client is definitely made aware, especially if I know they're closing in the winter months.
Okay, great. Thank you. You know, communication is key in real estate and any kind of residential or new construction. And I think that as a realtor, and you're their advocate and their fiduciary, not the builder's adversary, but your client's fiduciary and advocate. And you have to advocate for the builder just in case they didn't hear it the first time. It's like your children. When you tell them to do their homework and you show them how to do their homework, albeit it's very different right now for you parents on the call. But when we tell them, they might have to hear it 3 or 4 times or from somebody else before they get it. And our clients are very much the same way. And the build process, whether it takes 42 days or over a year, they won't remember everything they've been told. So be the builder or builder rep's advocate or partner, I guess, in your advocacy with your client. And communication solves everything. All right. How does your company handle issues with the home in the first year after closing? Warranties? Is there a warranty department, a service department? Do you have standard walkthroughs that you come out? I'm sure these answers are going to be varied. Mark, go ahead.
First of all, by the way, relative to the sod and that sort of thing, come March 1st, the first day it's 60 degrees and sunny, probably use the realtor and or the builder. You get a phone call from that person wondering if their sod is going in that week. They tend to get a little overly anxious, not realize it does take a while for the sod farms to thaw out and cut it. So, but that happens without doubt. As far as the way we handle our warranties, we do have a 1-year walkthrough. We try to actually have people, I know different builders will do different periods throughout, but we sort of try to, unless it's something that's an emergency or an urgent situation, but the more cosmetic type of things, we prefer to have them, let them accumulate throughout the year, because you don't want to go in 2 months after they move in, fix something, and then another 3 months after that, another nail pop or something occurs, and you're just doing things over 3 or 4 times. You know, it doesn't make sense to do that. So we typically try to have them do their 1-year punch out on items that they think might be needed. I would say I've been very fortunate in that usually when I hand keys to my clients, I really don't end up hearing back from them. So I call them and ask if everything's okay and sort of, you know, grimace a little, waiting to hear a response. And I've been very fortunate to not very often have much of a response. So I've been lucky in that respect, but that's what we try to do. And again, on the custom side, we also tend to, while we give them the typical stated warranties of a year and, you know, the long-term foundation and roof and things like that, as a custom builder, you tend to 6 years later, if something, a light bulb burns out, you'll usually go fix it for them. I mean, it's just kind of part of it because we rely so much on word of mouth and, you know, the realtor network and community. And everybody knows a bad story sells better at a cocktail party than a good one. So.
That's great. All right. So, Kristen, where am I? How about warranties? I've sold MI homes for 34 years, and I have to tell you, my experience with my clients and MI warranties and service department is, in my mind, you know, from a production standpoint, second to none. And that's just because I've had a lot of experience. Kristen, go ahead and tell us about your warranties.
Yeah, Sue, I 100% agree. As I said, I've worked for other builders in the city, and MI's is top notch. The way we handle it is the superintendent who builds their house and goes through the process with them does a courtesy check on them after the first 30 days. We've even been known to touch up things that, movers, scratched the walls or did something, and then the guys will kind of do a courtesy touch up within that first 30 days. And then after that, yes, we do have, as Mark called it, kind of the typical 1 year, please wait a year and, kind of see what's going on. And then we have that. After the 30 days, it does go to our customer care department. And these guys are so amazing. They work so hard. I see them each and every day in the field, and they take care of just about everything. We've had clients call about a bird nest being caught in their pillar. I mean, and we go above and beyond in every way to make customers happy. 15-year structural warranty. As I've stated, MI, the quality of our build and our customer care department is what 100% keeps me here at MI. I strongly believe, that we just do the best job that we absolutely can for that customer. I've seen customer care go above and beyond warranty times. So we have a reputation in the city. Bobby is right here front and center, making sure that we do everything correctly, and all over our walls in our corporate office, which, guys, we have a brand new corporate office. It's absolutely beautiful at East End, but it's painted all over our walls. Make sure you treat my customers right. And so that's what we try to do.
Awesome. I did not know you had a new corporate office. Sean, do you include, or is there a Clayton Home warranty with your product?
There absolutely is. So we have a standard 1 year top to bottom, side to side. On top of that, we offer an additional 4 years as a third party contract. But like the others have said, I think the majority of builders today want to take care of the customers. I had a lady who built a nice lake house out at Indian Lake. She was probably 65 years old. We were walking through the house at the very end. She goes, I really picked the wrong color of scallop siding up there. What am I going to do? And I said, what color would you like it? And she said something completely off the wall. And I said, if I get that for you, is Sean your favorite? And she goes, absolutely. So, it was no big deal for us to order the siding and just take care of the customer. And, it's the little things that go a long way. But I think all of the companies represented here probably have a common theme, which is take care of the customer, because that's the way business is handled nowadays. Our company has a mantra, which is to create raving fans. And that's at every level of the company. So we go above and beyond, but I'm sure everybody here does the same. So long answer short, yeah, 1 year top to bottom, and then additional 4 years. Customer can opt into that. I think it's $790, which I just keep thinking, golly, that seems like a great deal.
That's great. All right, Sumit, how about you? Warranties, walkthroughs, anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, 30-day walkthrough from the superintendent that built a house. And then after that, you've got your 1 year, which is basically a separate warranty department that takes care of that. You would go online, the client would go online and fill out a warranty information, and it would be addressed. As for warranties are anywhere from 2 years to 30 years, depending on what product in the house. Everything has a different warranty, from mechanicals to windows to faucets and basement and everything.
Okay, great. In the essence of time, I have three more questions, but please email. Let's open it up for questions. What questions does anybody in here have that we haven't answered? Or builders, if you want to raise your panelists, if you'd like to raise your hand and tell us something that we haven't talked about or asked today that you want to share with us about your company and the way you do business. Who wants to? I know, Sean, you might want to expound on a few things as far as where your factory's located and how can we learn more about your production team and where the model homes are located.
Great question. So we actually, as a Berkshire company, have 40 building facilities across the country. My production office works with 7 throughout the Midwest, Indiana, Pennsylvania, all the way down to Tennessee. My particular office, which we call a model home village or a model home center, has 26 homes on display. So I encourage other agents or anybody who wants to learn more about the product, the process, anything involved. We're right up Route 23, just north of Delaware and Marion, Ohio. I do live here in Dublin, but I make the little 40-mile jaunt every day and would love to sit down, talk about opportunities. I got to be real honest. I called Sue yesterday and said, I'm not really sure this is the forum with the heavy hitters that I'm sitting with on the panel here. And she reassured me that, you know, we're really all just working together to find opportunities for customers. I said in the very beginning, our sandbox, we're not building custom homes, and I don't build 4,000 square foot homes. That 125 to 250 is our sweet spot. If you have customers out there that are interested in that price point, I'd love to sit down and talk or pick up. We can have a Zoom call or whatever, however you want to communicate.
And I think that's great for these other builders and builder reps to know about you as well, because if somebody calls Mark Chambers and says, I want to build a $125,000 house, including the dirt that it's going to sit on with a basement, Mark's answer might be, oh, I guess I'm not the guy. Here's Sean's phone number. So we have to work together. We're all in this real estate community together, and, you know, advocate and know about the products out there. Kristen or Samit, what else haven't we asked about your company? What would you like to share with us?
Yeah, well, what I'd like to share is, as this crisis of inventory is happening in Central Ohio, D.R. Horton is going to be your go-to builder. Currently, I've got about 70 inventory homes that can close by the end of December. And we've got another 140 or so that are going to be up and going by the middle of March. So as for inventory, D.R. Horton would definitely be your go-to builder. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. Vicky had a question, real quick. The length of Mark Chambers with Region Homes home warranties. Foundation, structural 1 year foundation, and waterproof basement 2 years, I think he said. Great reason for you to pick up the phone and call Mark and get to know him. He's a great guy. And then manufacturer warranties. There's a lifetime warranty on his roof. I like that. I want to hear more about that one. All right, Kristen, tell us more about what you want us to know.
So what I really want you to know, MI Homes has been voted best builder for the last 12 years. I don't think any other business has been voted that many years in a row. We have closed over 650 homes year to date here, and 487 of those have been realtor co-ops. As a company, we are over 75% co-op. We love realtors. Personally, Amy and I are at a 92% co-op. And as far as inventory, I'm going to jump on that wagon. I want to be a resource for you guys, but here's how strong the market is. I just want to share with you. 2 years ago, our big push is obviously like every other business's push, where you want to get things closed by the end of the year. 2 years ago at this time, we had 60 inventory homes for sale going into December that could close by December. Last year at this time, we had 40 homes going in right from this point on that could close in December. This year to date, because we have just killed our numbers, we are so far ahead, and we're very blessed all here being in a pandemic, but we only have 13 opportunities that can close by the end of the year. They are amazing homes. We have put so many homes in the ground. So I assure you guys, there's going to be tons of MI inventory for next year in the spring. But the homes that we have left, those 13, we're now on a countdown to get rid of each and every one of them to close by the end of December. So appreciate all of your help on trying to get that goal for us. They are great, amazing homes in lots of different communities, but we too want to be that resource. We do have several homes that can close January, February, things like that, but you know, let us know. We love you guys. We want to work with all you guys, and just want to be there to help. And as I said, I have done this for 20 years. If you just have questions about process, you want to come out and you want maybe a quick class on foundations construction, I'll set you up with the superintendent. I can talk to you about creating relationships even with other reps. And yeah, Sean, I definitely want your information because lots of my customers want to be under that 320 mark and I just can't do it. So let's help each other out. I would love to get that information. And I have referred to Mark several times on that custom building side, so.
Okay, I just wanted to share their information. If anybody has any questions, please enter it into the chat. Let me share my screen right now. And also you can email Angela, but here, if you'd like to take a screenshot of that, there is their contact information. Thank you so much to our fabulous panelists. I think from, starting at about 100,000 or maybe even less, Sean is your go-to guy. Sumit and Kristen have great inventory. They can cross-sell neighborhoods. I love it when I hear agents go out and interview and call and set up a meeting, go look at their product, find out all about them and how it is going to benefit your business, especially in 2021, when we will continue to see total lack of inventory and amazing. I mean, the realtors who are doing business are killing it this year, and that's great. And so are the builders. And congratulations. Thank you for joining us today. We just really appreciate your time, guys. Thanks to all who joined us on the call today. I don't know how to keep a list of who was on the call, so thank you. Call if you have questions or call these guys. They are your go-to people for new construction. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
You're
Sue.
welcome. All right.